welcome to this video. In this video, we will see how we can use ChatGPT for DevOps activities. So let's ask ChatGPT to create us a Spring Boot application for storing data in GCP GCS buckets. So we can see ChatGPT has started creating the application for us. It is creating the POM file. And here we can see it's not using the latest version. Okay, it's not providing the Spring Boot version, it's just providing the dependencies which are required for this. Then it's creating the service file. It's creating the upload file method, download file method, delete file method. And now it's creating the controller. So it's creating the upload API. Okay, that's it. So it has provided us with the upload API, which we can use for uploading a file to GCS bucket. Now let's ask ChatGPT for creating a Docker file for this Spring Boot application. So write me a Docker file for the above Spring Boot app. So we can see the power of ChatGPT. It has written me the entire Docker file. It is also providing me the command which I can use to build image using this Docker file. And it is telling me the command which I can use to run the Docker image created by this command above. So here we can see this is the Docker file, and we need to save this content in a file called Docker file, and then we need to run this command to build the Docker image. Then once the Docker image is built, we can test our image by using the docker run command. So using this command, we can locally run our image. Now let's ask ChatGPT to provide the steps for creating GKE cluster, because it has already provided us the step for building the image, right? So let's ask it the step for also before building GKE cluster. Let's ask it the command for pushing this image to GCR. So provide me the command which I can use for pushing the above Docker image to GCP GCR, Docker Container Registry, basically Google Container Registry. So it's providing me the steps. First I need to tag this image with this kind of a tag, and here I need to provide the project ID. Then I need to use this command docker push and this command, and this will push my Docker image to GCR. Now let's ask ChatGPT to provide me the gcloud command which can be used for creating GKE cluster. So here you can see it's also providing me the command. What I need to do is, as per my zone, I need to provide zone. Depending upon number of nodes I need, I can add the number of nodes. If let's say I need 2 nodes, I'll write 2 here. I can write the machine type. I can write the minimum nodes, maximum nodes. So it's providing me all the configurations which I can directly use, and it's also providing me sample command. If I'm doing it for the first time, if you're new to GCP, if you don't know what are zones and all, what you can do is you can directly pick this command. It will build GKE cluster in US Central 1 region with 3 nodes, and it will use this machine type N1 standard 2 it will enable auto scaling. Minimum at a time there will be 3 nodes. Depending upon the load on your nodes, it will scale up to 6 nodes. Now that we have seen that how we can create GKE cluster using ChatGPT, how we can create basically the commands which can be used for creating GKE cluster using ChatGPT. Now let's ask ChatGPT to write me Kubernetes files for deploying the Spring Boot app on GCP. So once you have created the cluster using this command, what you can do is now you can ask ChatGPT to write me files, Kubernetes files, which I can use to deploy my Spring Boot app on GCP. So let's do this. Write me Kubernetes files for deploying the above Spring Boot app on GCP GKE. So you can see ChatGPT is now generating the deployment file. Here we need to provide our image URL, basically the project ID and the app name which we have used while pushing our image. Then you can see it's building the service.yaml file and it's building a service of type load balancer which will expose our external IP using which we can access our application, the deployed application on Kubernetes. Then it's providing us the command for creating secret. Then it's providing a sequence of command that we need to execute. So using kubectl apply -f deployment.yaml, this will deploy the deployment.yaml, basically create deployment in the Kubernetes cluster. Before this, you also need to connect to the Kubernetes cluster. So once you have created the Kubernetes cluster, you can go to the GCP console and copy the command which you can use for connecting to your Kubernetes cluster. Once you are connected to your Kubernetes cluster, then you can use these commands and you can basically deploy these files. Once you have saved these files locally, you can create the deployment, you can create the service, you can create the secret and deploy your Spring Boot application on Kubernetes cluster. Now that we have seen how we can use ChatGPT for creating Kubernetes files, now let's see how we can use ChatGPT for creating Helm charts for these files. So let me ask ChatGPT to create me Helm charts for these Kubernetes files. So write me Helm charts for above Kubernetes files. So if you don't want to use kubectl commands, you can use Helm charts and use the Helm install command and install, basically deploy your Spring Boot app using the Helm commands. So either you can do it with Helm charts or you can do it with kubectl command. Like basically you can deploy your Spring Boot app by using kubectl commands or you can use Helm chart commands. So you can see it's creating me all the charts for deployment YAML, charts for service YAML. It's also providing me the command which I can use to install the app on GKE cluster. So that's how we can use ChatGPT for doing end-to-end daily work as a DevOps engineer. We saw how we could build a Spring Boot app. Now we can simply copy paste and create a Spring Boot app with this. Once we have created a Spring Boot app, we can test it by running it locally. Once we have tested it, we can write a Docker file by using ChatGPT and test by building an image of this file. You can use this command for building image of your Spring Boot application. This command needs to be executed in the folder where you have your Docker file. Then you can run your Docker image locally to test your Docker image. Then in order to push your Docker image to GCR, you need to tag your Docker image with this kind of a tag, then use this kind of a command to push it to GCR. GCR stands for Google Container Registry. You can see all the steps which are required. So you can read through this. You can use these commands. These are first time configuration for pushing Docker image using the Docker commands. Then you can see that we asked ChatGPT to provide us the gcloud command for creating GKE cluster. It provided us with a generic command which we can use, we can substitute as per our use case. It also provided us an example command which we can use and we can understand. Then we asked ChatGPT to write us Kubernetes files for deploying the above Spring Boot app on GCP GKE. So it created us deployment YAML file, it created us service.yaml file, and it also created a secret for us, and it gave us the commands which we can use for deploying the Spring Boot app on GKE cluster. Then we saw how we can build Helm charts for the above Kubernetes files by using ChatGPT. If you like this video, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.